love this. There's the families. I think it's
He's someplace. I don't know where. He told me he wouldn't be here.
Did you hear the
Bridget, give it a couple
canal
minutes.
and fish out of the river?
Hearing to
Philadelphia Eagles.
order. Would the clerk please read the roll?
It's great.
Mr. Amrhein,
Here.
Mr. DeLeone,
Here. Oh, I guess it is here.
Mr. Ferrara, and Mr. Kuhar.
They have to be excused.
Okay. Ms. Rosenberg,
Here.
Ms. Shaffer,
Here.
Mr. Sidoti,
Here.
Mr. Turner,
Here.
and Ms. Wallach.
Here.
Need a motion to excuse Mr. Kuhar and
So
Mr.
moved.
Ferrara. Second. Second by Roger. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Bridget, it's all yours.
This is the second of two required public hearings the city is holding to provide information on the State of Ohio Development Service Agency's Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program. We're soliciting public comments regarding the city's intent to submit an application in May for $350,000 in funding. The objective of the CHIP program is to fund activities and projects that are housing related and benefit low to moderate income persons residing in the community.
Is there anybody in the audience would like to have any questions on this subject? If not, the public hearing is closed. Thank you, Bridget. We're going to go into regular council meeting now. Would the clerk please call the roll for council?
Mr. Amrhein,
Here.
Mr. DeLeone,
Here.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Here.
Ms. Shaffer,
Here.
Mr. Sidoti,
Here.
Mr. Turner,
Here.
Ms. Wallach.
Here.
And again, Mr. Ferrer and Mr. Kuhar has to be excused. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second. Second by Jack. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Opening remarks, Ms. Wallach.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody, when it comes to recycling, to please clean your containers, and then you're supposed to put them in loose and separated. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion for the regular meetings and public hearing. Tracy?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion for the minutes of the regular city council meeting of February 20th, 2019.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Further?
Does anybody need these separated? Because I'll do them all at once. I'd like to make a motion for the special city council meeting, for the public hearing CDBG, for the public hearing CHIP program grant minutes,
What about the
Work session.
and the work session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Roger. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. We're into communications. Is there anybody from the audience?
Christopher Myers.
Just a minute, I have something to read. While the law does not require council to provide time for the public comment, we have historically invited the public to make comments, and we appreciate their input. This is the time when residents and others can comment on matters that concern them. However, if we do not engage in debate, as president council, I reserve the right to end any public discussion that becomes disruptive, embarrassing, harassment, or otherwise objectively. We ask that when you come to the mic, that you speak into the mic, you give your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes to share your concern with. Thank you. Mr. Myers.
My name is Christopher Myers. I live at 220 East Elm, and I'm allowed to embarrass public employees. It's the Constitution of the United States, and it's the rules of City Council. I have a communication here to Ms. Jones, Law Director, City of Kent, Ohio. On 30 March 2018, Mr. Ferrer sent the attached email to all members of council. I would like all emails, records of personal contacts, phone records, and notes that occurred as a result of that email. I would also like the quoted text hidden referenced at the bottom of his email. The email is a part of the police report written against me, that's this, by the Tara Grimm, former clerk of council. Also appearing in the police report are emails by councilperson Heidi, Shaffer, and City Manager Reller. I have here a fascinating little book. It's called Hate, Why We Should Resist It with Free Speech, Not Censorship. It was written by Nadine Strawson, who is a professor of constitutional law at New York Law School and the first woman national president of the American Civil Liberties Union, and other things that she's done. She's a very good person. And if you want to see her speech before the City Club Forum in Cleveland, you can go to the City Club Forum archives on the internet, and you can hear her speech. It's wonderful. I have a letter here that was written to me by Hope Jones, the law director, that says that I'm not allowed to speak directly or indirectly to Tara Grimm, the clerk of council. However, if you will read this book, you will find, and you listen to her speech, you will find that the Supreme Court of the United States repudiates what she has said, that I'm not allowed to have direct or indirect contact with Tara Grimm. What else do I have? Nothing. Oh, wait a minute.
You got a half a minute to get it out, whatever you have.
Here is my freedom of speech suit against the City of Kent that is being mailed to the Office of the Clerk, United States District Court, Akron, Ohio. Thank you.
All right, we're done. Thank you. Is there further?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Written communications?
We have the Sustainability Commission meeting agenda for March 4th, 2019, and the minutes of February 4th, 2019, received on February 28th, 2019. City Health Board meeting agenda for February 19th, 2019, and the minutes of January 8th, 2019, received on February 14th, 2019. Standing Rock Cemetery meeting minutes for February 14th, 2019, received on February 22nd, 2019. Planning Commission staff report for March 5th, 2019, and meeting agenda for March 19th, 2019, received March 11th, 2019. Then after the agenda was published, we received the Civil Service Commission agenda for March 18th, and that was received on March 14th. Standing Rock minutes of March 14th, received March 19th of 2019. Park and Recreation Board packet for March 21st, 2019, received on March 20th. And then we received a transfer liquor license request to the Community Building Strategies at 425 Cherry Street from R. Robert Sissone Estate, doing business as Sissone's Cafe of 425 Cherry Street. And we had no objections returned from Chief Lee.
All right. Jack? Motion
Motion to return with no objection.
Second.
second by Mike. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Further?
Oh, that's it.
Oh, all right, thank you. City manager's report, Jack.
Yeah, I'd like to move items 1 through 16 on the city manager's report.
Second.
Second by Tracy. Is there any discussion on it? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Is there further, Mr. Roller?
No, thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Okay, standing committees. I need a motion for the minutes of March 6th. Can somebody make that?
Oh, I'll move the committee meeting minutes of March 6, 2018.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. How about the action, Mike?
Oh, there was no action.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'll move the action.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Roger. Any discussion on the actions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Was there an abstention? All right. That's all for committee hold. Committee development, Ms. Rosenberg.
Yes, I'd like to move the meeting minutes of March 6th.
Second.
Second by Mike. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I'd like to move the actions 1 through 6.
Second.
Second by Roger. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-23 in title only?
2019-23, an ordinance approving proposed changes by the Portage County Solid Waste Management District, draft 2019 Solid Waste Management Plan, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-23 passes.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-24 in title only?
2019-24, an ordinance authorizing the transfer of a Trex liquor license into the city of Kent for Twisted Root Ltd., an Ohio limited liability company, conditional upon the execution of a development agreement between the city of Kent, Ohio and Twisted Root Ltd., and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Need a motion for adoption?
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mike. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
2019, ordinance 2019-24 passes.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-25 in title only?
2019-25, an ordinance authorizing the transfer of a Trex liquor license into the city of Kent for the River Merchant LLC, an Ohio limited liability company, conditional upon the execution of a development agreement between the city of Kent, Ohio and the River Merchant LLC, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Please call the roll on suspension.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes. Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Roger. Any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-25 passes.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-26 in title only?
2019-26, an ordinance authorizing the city manager or his designee to approve a new special event application from the Kent J.C.'s for the first annual Kent Craft Beer Fest to be held on May 18th, 2019, in certain areas of Kent, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Roger. Please call the roll on suspension.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes. Me too.
Need adopt?
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Gwen. Any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-26 passes.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-27
Twen-
title only?
2019-27, an ordinance authorizing the city manager or his designee to enter into a new agreement between Kent State University, specifically the Wick Poetry Center, Main Street, Kent, and the City of Kent to bring awareness of the Cuyahoga River into Kent through static and interactive displays, and also known as the River Stanzas Project, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Mike. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein,
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer.
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Gwen. Is there any comment on adopting this ordinance? Hearing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein,
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer.
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-27 passes.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-28 in title only?
2019-28, an ordinance authorizing the Community Development Department to submit a proposal to the State of Ohio Development Services Agency, Office of Community Development, to participate in the PY 2019 Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program, CHIP, and upon awarding of the grant, authorizing appropriation of funds and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Mike. Please call the roll for suspension.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein,
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti.
Yes. Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mike. Any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein,
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti.
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-28 passes.
Okay, thank you. Is there further, Ms. Rosenberg? I didn't think so. The Finance Committee, Mr. DeLeone?
Yeah, I'd like to move the committee meeting minutes of March 6, 2019, and the 3 actions recommended.
Second. Second by Roger. Any discussion on it? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-29 in title only?
2019-29, an ordinance authorizing the city manager or his designee to enter into an agreement with Quality IP and the City of Kent to help with business technology needs, waiving competitive bidding and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Mr. DeLeone. Please call the roll for suspension.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein,
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner.
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mike. Any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein,
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-29 passes.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-30 in title only?
2019-30, an ordinance authorizing the city manager or his designee to amend the City of Kent's trash service contract with Republic Services of Ohio, LLC, in order to enter into a new contract directly with Portage County Solid Waste Management District and declaring an emergency.
Move adopt. No, move
Suspension.
suspension. I got it.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Amrhein,
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach.
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mike. Any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Amrhein,
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach.
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-30 passes.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-31 in title only?
2019-31, an ordinance accepting 2 donations totaling $300 to the City of Kent Parks and Recreation Department from Misty Summers, Jody Swearingen, and Suzanne Miller-Molador, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second. Second by Roger. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. DeLeone,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein.
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mike. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-31 passes.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-32 in title only?
2019-32, an ordinance authorizing the city manager or his designee to take all actions necessary to accept Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council, NOPEC, 2019 Community Event Sponsorship Program Award in the amount of $2,000 and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Gwen. Please call the roll on suspension.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes. Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Roger. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-32 passes.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-33 in title only?
2019-33, an ordinance authorizing the City of Kent to submit an application to the 2019 AARP Community Challenge Grant Program and to accept the grant if awarded with corresponding appropriation of funds and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Roger. Please call the roll on suspension.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Roger. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-33 passes.
Okay, is there further, Mr. DeLeone?
No, that is all.
All right, there's no business under health and public safety, no business under the land use, streets and sidewalks. Mr. Sidoti.
Yes, I'd like to move the committee meeting minutes of March 6, 2019, and the action listed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Abstain.
same, one abstention.
I wasn't here.
All right. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-34 in title only?
2019-34, an ordinance amending resolution number 2018-40 that passed March 21st, 2018 to enter into the East Main Street Area Agreement between the City of Kent and Kent State University to set the framework to begin investigating traffic concerns along the East Main Street corridor and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Jack. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes. Move
Move
to
it.
approve.
Second.
Second by Mike. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-34 passes.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-35 in title only?
2019-35, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the State of Ohio Department of Transportation, ODOT, for improvements on North Water Street and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Heidi. Any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein,
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti.
Yes.
2019, ordinance 2019-35 passes.
Okay, thank you. Is there further, Mr. Sidoti?
Nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
All right, under special committee reports, is there anything? Seeing nothing, unfinished business, anything? Heidi?
Yeah, I just wonder if it's possible to change my abstention on the item, the action recommended about the East Main Street neighborhood study to a yes vote. I thought it was referring to the presentation of today.
Does it really matter? It passed.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, well,
Good look at history.
Under new business, item needing council action or referral? Gwen?
Yeah, voting is a fundamental part of our democracy and an interest in encouraging our city employees to participate and exercise their right to vote. I'd like to formally allow for city personnel to vote without having to take leave time to do so.
second.
All right. You made the motion.
Yes,
Heidi seconded it.
yes.
Further discussion?
Basically, what I'd like to do, in lieu of doing a holiday for Election Day, I'd like to allow our city employees to go and vote without having to take leave time, sick time, time off, and just allow them to go vote. I think it sends a clear message that we support democracy and that all of our personnel should be exercising the right to vote. And with any luck, that'll encourage city businesses to afford their employees the same right.
Heidi?
Yeah, I think it's a great example of leadership in that, and I think all employers should do the same.
Tracy?
Do we need to put that into committee first? I mean, to discuss things like how much
It
time, like,
probably
can they take
wouldn't
off a whole
hurt.
day, or, yeah, could I make an amendment to put that into committee to discuss?
I'll second the amendment.
All right, now we're down to the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same side, so we're back to the original motion as amended. Tracy?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, but I think we should do it as soon as possible, so if we can get it into the committee meeting in April, that would be great,
We'll try.
because we have voting coming up, right?
Any other discussion? Roger?
You know, I think it's a wonderful idea. I would hope that, speaking of hope, I would hope that our law director will be able to give us some guidance because of the ramifications of our negotiated agreements with our employees and things like that. So
Yep.
if you could come back and give us some guidance on that, I think
Okay.
it'd be very appropriate.
All right. Mike?
I was just curious, like, what if you had someone that lived in Cleveland that works here? That, or.
Well, that's gonna be discussed in
Well,
the committee.
that's what I said, that was a question I had, but. Take a little day
Save
off.
it for committee.
Okay, thanks. Okay, I'm done.
Any other discussion?
Should be able to take off early.
No other discussion, all in favor of the motion amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Anybody else? Tracy?
Yeah, I just want to make another request about the State Sustainability Committee to please, I had requested before to come back as soon as possible with 5 things that the city could do right now to help against the climate change, so I just want to emphasize that again.
Is that in? All right.
Can you get a second on that?
All right. Anybody else?
We already did it, so.
It's on the
There's
pending.
2 different things. One thing that I requested was that there were 10 items that go into the Tree City Bulletin, and then this one was, what can the city do? 5 items that the city can do.
Okay. Anybody else? Let's get future council meeting, anybody?
How about let's have one in April?
Pardon?
Let's have one in April.
Let's have one in April.
Boy, someone's being silly.
Council members' comment, is there anything? Roger?
Yeah, I rarely get on social media anymore, but the last rendition of our city council chambers, our new city hall, it got some positive feedback, and I think that's important, that people are looking at it. And I just thought I'd share that with all the council.
Thank you. Mike?
I was just gonna say, Don, you're doing a good job. That's,
Amen.
from my perspective over here.
Thank
We look that way.
Heidi?
Yeah, I just wanted to share that as soon as the weather broke, the city came out and replaced the sidewalk on Oak Street, East Oak Street, where a hole had opened up in the sidewalk and a dog had gotten its paw caught. And when they went to prop it open, they noticed that there was a water channel that flowed underneath. So they had to replace several sections. They were out doing it that day. Today, they poured the concrete. Our city staff at work, I really want to thank Melanie and whoever else was responsible for that, because that was just great work.
Okay, anybody else? I don't have any remarks. We're adjourned.
Wow, you broke a record.
Wow, it's not even 8 o'clock.